you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join Doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
In this episode, I am so excited. Dr. Joanne and I will be introducing Dr. Mary Leung. She is a hematology and oncology physician and certified life coach. She helps physicians rediscover joy, gratitude, and balance in their lives and careers. We are so excited to have you on the show today, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I would love for you to share some of your own journey from burnout to coaching and what that transformation looked like for you.
Yeah, so I think the journey really started when I first become the new attending. I thought that, that was it. I was at the top of the world after finishing residency, fellowship, and finally the attending in charge. And I joined this group practice of hematology oncology with, I think at that time there was 5 other men. And I started off with pretty light schedule, just to build up the practice. And then before you know it, my schedule was full. And I was seeing 20 some patients a day. And it was just more and more adding on with more charting to do, more inbox tasks. And then I found myself going home after 7 o'clock at night after seeing the outpatients and still had work to do. And I just thought that, me, I'm the physician, I'm the attending, of course, I work hard, and that's kind of the normal thing to do, to work past my official hours and also catching up at nights and over the weekends. And then just going through the motions more and more. And then I just realized that I wasn't really enjoying practicing medicine as much. I was just really trying to make it for the day. I was just trying to survive. And I didn't really have time to spend with my then kind of younger kids. And I felt guilty about it. And I thought that, could there be another way to really, live differently being a physician? I did not want to move because, I already moved 8,000 miles away from Hong Kong to here to be with my in-laws, my husband's family. And thankfully, my in-laws are wonderful people and they're really easy to get along with. And I did not want to move again to be away from my adopted, family, new family here. So I felt stuck and I felt like there was no way out. I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to really cut down on the hours, but, just where I am, in this New York metropolitan area, Long Island, it's kind of hard to have that option, especially in the specialty that I'm in. When you're a hematologist, especially the oncology part of things, you're pretty much always on, even when you have partners to cover you, because a lot of times the patients want to just talk to you about certain things. So then I just felt so helpless, frustrated at times, and easy to anger. I think, just looking back, that was definitely signs of burnout without me knowing it at that time. Fast forward to the pandemic hit. And so at that time, we're trying to just minimize the number of patients that we're seeing. And so I was seeing probably about a third of the patient load. And that was different because I was able to go home on time or even earlier, 4 or 5 o'clock with everything done. And I felt wonderful. Not that I wanted the pandemic to happen, but I always believed that, there's something good out of something bad. And I was really thankful for that opportunity to be able to go home to spend time with my family. And, just like many other people, I started baking with my daughter. It was wonderful. And I thought, what if I could do the same, going home on time when I was back to seeing the same number of patients, like the 25 or so patients a day. That would be wonderful, because I've realized that it was really the time and the energy that I spent in, working and caring for the patients that was really what caused me to feel the way that I feel, or the burnout. So then, since I had the time during the pandemic, I just explored different things, and I came across something called life coaching. No clue what that was. I thought coaching was just for sports. So then I thought, well, if I wanted something different, might as well try something different. So I joined this women physician coaching program, and I work with a coach there in particular to work on, to see how I could be more efficient, to go home faster, and still take good care of the patients. So within about 3 months, and around that time, I was already back to seeing the 20-some patients, the full load of patients in the day. And just about 3 months of coaching, I was able to leave work with everything done by 5:30. And I thought that was wonderful. I had time and also the mental energy back to really figure out, what else could I do after work besides just really rushing. And I had time to spend with my family, with my, a little bit older kids, and it was wonderful. So I thought, well, so many physicians are really suffering, working the late hours that they did not sign up for, and also that draining mental energy that they're experiencing. What if I could help them just to go through the same thing that I did, to reclaim the time and the energy, and actually go back to looking at and living why they joined the medical practice in the first place. That would be wonderful. So that's how I started my own coaching program for physicians. And I think that right now I really enjoy the balance between the full-time clinical job that I have, and also helping other physicians do the same, because I think that with more joy and with more gratitude that we have, and less in the survival mode that we live in as physicians, it really helps not just the physicians, but also the patients, because, who wants to see grumpy physicians? I think, when you walk into the room, you feel that the doctor is in a rush or don't want to talk to you. That's not a very good feeling. And it's very hard to develop trust, for the doctor. So I think that, me being able to help physicians getting out of the survival mode by, just being more efficient, and just going back to the why of why they joined medicine in the first place. It's really helping the doctor-patient relationship, and that special connection that we get to have to make medicine more meaningful.
Wow. That story of transformation I can so relate to that with the burnout and wanting to pay forward the changes you had and the impact on your parenting. I love hearing from that improved relationship. And what else can I do? Bringing joy to medicine. So many themes that Joanne and I have shared on this podcast, and so inspiring. And especially with someone who works in oncology and hematology, such a challenging job. What a beautiful transformation to see you being able to bring even more joy to your patients who are going through I'm imagining some of the hardest times of their lives, being a cancer survivor myself. So excited to hear that.
Yeah, and I think that right now when I see my patients, it's really wonderful. I mean, of course we're all human beings. We all have different personalities. At the same time, it's like it's getting easier and easier for me to find something joyful, to talk to my patients about things. And even when there are patients who are not really doing so well clinically, or if when they are having side effects from their treatment, it's like, I get to redirect them to focus on what is going well. I mean, be realistic at the same time, but it's really, to say, hey, what are we thankful for here? What can we do better? And how can I help you, not just medically, but also psychologically, to see, how can I support you, and that I am here for you. You're not in this alone. You have a whole team, with me leading it to back you up. And, for, kind of that emotional security that you have, you can trust me because, I am not just rushing to see one patient after another. I am mindful of my time, but I'm giving my time to you and my energy to you too.
Well, Mary, thank you so much. You said so many things that it's all of us in a way, right? Like, I'll reflect, and I've taken like, if for the people in our YouTube channel, like already like a full page of notes because it was so beautifully said. And thank you for your honesty and vulnerability as well. And I'll just kind of mention a few things that I have here in my notes, because again, it's worth listening to it and reflecting of how can we see ourselves in what you shared of because I remember having the exact same thing of, oh, this is normal. I guess we are doctors, so this is what we're supposed to do. And we work long hours and we might miss our kids' practice or dinner time, but I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. And that it doesn't need to be that way. And right, like you're saying, I just need to make it and survive. And then also something that Erin and I have talked a lot about is how we have kind of the early signs of burnout. And then sometimes, like I always talk about it kind of in a spectrum, and we're kind of crossing that threshold when it starts to become a problem, but we minimize it. Or again, we just like, oh, it's just a phase, or I'll deal with it later, right? And how you said, I start feeling, these are big words, right? Like hopeless and frustrated and easy to anger and signs of burnout. And I didn't really know it. And I know that so many of us, and I know that, it's beautiful that we're all coaches and we've mentioned how for, like you said, like we think of coaching like, oh, that's, like in sports or maybe in business. And in other areas, like entrepreneurs see it as a benefit. Like, no, how can I not do coaching if it's what's going to help me move forward? And I think based on what I hear a lot of the physicians say, it's like we see it almost like only something if I'm struggling. So we fight approaching coaching because we think like, no, I'm not there yet, or I really don't need that. And it's, of course, as a psychiatrist, it reminds me of the stigma overall of getting mental health, and it doesn't need to be that way. So love that you went through your, not that I love what you went through, but that it was enough. Sometimes we have to reach that point of pain to say, no, I really need to make a change. And for you, it was almost the taste of how it can be. And like Tony Robbins says, if you want a better life, ask better questions, right? And I'd heard you asking yourself, how can I keep this schedule, this efficiency, this feeling of fulfillment of doing other things, even when I'm super busy again, like after getting a taste of it in during COVID. So anyways, that's a long reflection on my part, because I think that we sometimes have to hear it. And I love when we share our own stories, because life has a lot of transitions and ups and downs. And then we go through the identity shift in it and right, like shedding all those layers. And it sounds like you've done a lot of that work, and it's so neat to see you doing it for other people as well. So, and I wanted to ask you, you mentioned joy and gratitude, which are some of my favorite words. How, tell us more of how did gratitude and joy help you shift from that overwhelm to more fulfillment?
Yeah. So I think one of the earliest memories that I have on coaching with my coach was that I was asked what went well this week. And I was dumbfounded in the beginning. I was like, what are you talking about? Nothing went well. That was my, reflex. And I thought, I was like, what? And then I entertained the question. I tried my best to find something that went well. And over time, I found that it was easier and easier for me to find something that went well, because I would be like, okay, let me do my homework, quote unquote, before my coaching session. So I'll know what to say when she asks me what went well. And then before you know it, I don't even know how long it took, but I started to just noticing things that went well. And of course, things that went well, it's kind of like gives me kind of a little energy boost and emotional kind of satisfaction. And then I think that at the same time, it's like, oh, I'm really thankful for, what went well. And then before you know it, it's kind of like, I just view the joy and the gratitude, they kind of go hand in hand. And I think that if I have to look back, it's probably that to have, to be open to have that gratitude mindset, to be grateful for things and not just taking things for granted. That probably comes first if you have to ask me, the chicken or the egg. I think that when we're grateful, we're living in the abundance. It's not like always in the scarcity that, I don't have this, I don't have that, or that should be mine, that type of thing. And, when you're not thinking like that, when you're grateful for things that even for normal things like, I'm grateful for today is a beautiful day. I'm grateful for the patient that came on time this time, actually. And so it's like everything is a gift, and receiving gift is wonderful. And that's what I share with my patients too. It's like, grateful for, hey, you tolerated chemo fine, or that the treatment is actually working, or, that your family did not take it so badly, whatever it is. That I think the more grateful we are, the more we get to experience the joy. And I think the first thing is to be open and just to be have that different perspective to look at things, and not just taking your first impression right away. You can just examine things that, all right, this is not going so well, but, what is well within it? And I think, just as I shared earlier, that, COVID is not good, the disease is not good, but what is good in it is that people actually get time to reflect and to see what their life is like, and to see what they actually want and what their values actually are. And I think that for me is, I am grateful for that experience, because of that, I become who I am today, and that I learned to be more grateful. Because before, my parents would tell me, oh, say thank you to, this one and that one. Like if someone did something, nice to you, say thank you. But it was, to me, it was just more like saying it, not really meaning it. And I think now it's like I'm really experiencing that grateful, that feeling of, it's just kind of from within. And I don't think I can describe it any better than, for me, it's a very warm feeling from the inside out. It's kind of radiating out, and it's a wonderful feeling. And I think it is contagious, because when I walk into the patient room, I smile. Sometimes I don't necessarily want to talk to everybody, and that's okay. And I just focus on, what needs to be done. And I'm grateful for, hey, I can just keep this conversation focused, and I'm keeping on time or whatever it is. And I think that with that gratitude attitude, that I get to experience more joy. And that's also what I want to share with other physicians.
That is incredible. I don't know if I've heard somebody that we've interviewed use those terms, joy and wonderful and gratitude, so frequently. And just, you have this glow about you. If you're watching on YouTube, the smile, the genuine smile and glow about you is beautiful to witness. And some people may think, how can it be possible to have this joyful physician working with cancer patients on a daily basis, and yet at the same time be able to hold that joy and gratitude? I think what better place for you to be than people who may have otherwise lost their joy, their hope, and their gratitude. So beautiful to witness. And what I love also is you didn't let it stop with you, Mary. You said, this coaching helped me. You got curious and said, oh, I wonder what else is possible to make my life better. You created more joy and gratitude in your life. And then you said, how can I turn this around? Not just for myself, but for others. And now you help other physicians gain control of their time and their energy. And I wonder, what are the key things that you found worked for you that you're now able to help others implement?
Yeah, I think I always say preparation is the key. For example, if I'm going to do a bone marrow biopsy, it's really the actual, prepping all the tools and all the instruments, and positioning the patient, and the actual procedure is probably 10 minutes. So I think it's the same thing for physicians or other people too. It's, if you want to have a great day or a more joyful day, or even just a more neutral day from if you have always been frustrated or negative about it, is to set the tone for the day in the beginning before you even go to work or start your day. Is when you wake up, be mindful of what you're thinking. Some people may be dreading and say, oh, I have another day to go to work. And okay, you can have that thought. And then on the second thought, you may decide that, all right, today is going to be a manageable day. Like my sentence is, today is going to be a great day no matter what happens. So for me, it's that I am the one in charge of making it a great day. And whatever happens, meaning like, in medicine, there are always surprises, good or bad. So I let them happen because I cannot control those things, but I can control how I react to them. So I think, to have more joy or gratitude or whatever emotions that you want to feel, is to decide how your day is going to be and imagine that, that is going to be your outcome. So I have that to start my day. And then when I go to work, is I share that with my coworkers, so I usually, in the outpatient setting, I work with a medical assistant and a nurse. So we usually have a little quick huddle in the morning. And I always start with, today's a great day. And now they say it before I say it, and we smile, we chat, we work as a team, because, teamwork is much better than you do it individually. And we can rely on each other. We communicate with each other, and then we just see the patients. Our goal is really to take good care of the patients and be efficient and leave work on time. So that I think that how you start your day is very important. And of course, the other thing is I always do is like little celebrations, you don't have to be like, oh, an anniversary and throw a party type of celebration, but it's just really acknowledging to yourself what you have accomplished so far. It could just be like, you can just give yourself a fist pump, high five, whatever. And like, for example, if I have 25 patients in a day and I've seen 4 patients, I'll be like, okay, yes, 4 down, 21 to go, that's just a little thing, because, that little boost of dopamine, I'm sure Dr. Joanne knows, right? As a psychiatrist, it's really wonderful to have, and it's a sustainable kind of energy to, or fuel to really get you through the day. And I think that, that is kind of fun too, because I can also see it as a game, a little game. You can make up a game for yourself that, okay, let me see if I can finish or, taking care of this patient in this amount of time, for example, and then you're mindful of the time, being attentive to the patient and all. So I think that there are just different ways to make it more fun, even in a very serious specialty such as oncology, to see the patient, because and also it's not every oncology patient has very serious illness. I mean, some of them they're here for their 3-month follow-up because they're cured, they're in remission, and some people, they're like 20 years out and they don't want to leave the practice because they have the peace of mind. I'm like, okay, all right, but you can actually go follow up with your primary care physicians, but they're like, but I want to just see you once a year. I'm like, okay, that's okay, and I love to see you too, because it's like, all right, something is working. And I just find that those are the things, and I always say smile, and just think of something that is joyful, to be like that, to show that I'm here for you, and just also be intentional about being present while you're in the room, because it does a few things. So one is that you can focus better, you can concentrate better on that patient and that patient only, and not thinking about, oh, I forgot to do something about that other patient 3 patients ago. Second is the patients know, when you're there, or when your mind is wandering somewhere else. So, you really want to make that connection that you're present, you're here for the patient. And third is, when you're able to focus, you can also ask better questions, as Dr. Joanne put it before. When you have better questions, you have better answers, and you probably don't have to talk as much in general. So, I mean, yes, talking to patients is a very important part of taking care of them. At the same time is, you do have a time limit to see, the whole schedule. So you want to focus and not be rushed. So I think like kind of all these things mixed together, and somehow it's just little things add together to make this picture of that I'm happy, I'm going in with a smile, I'm connecting with the patient, and they're connecting with me. They trust me because we have that special bond, because all I'm thinking is, I'm here to take good care of you. I'll do my best, and I'm being mindful of my time. And when you're talking, I'm listening to you. And I think all these things add together that I have a much more joyful experience, because I'm being present also than before. And I think that, even though I'm busy, I'm tired at the end of the day. When I look back, I was like, all right, I made the difference in patients' lives. And that's really, I'm grateful for all those things.
What a beautiful gift you are for your patients. My goodness, I'm here like in awe. Like Erin said, I'm like so drawn in, even though we're in a computer platform. I'm like so leaning in to your energy. How beautiful, and I hope the audience listened to this amazing framework that you gave us to, regardless of the day, right? Like you said, today will be a great day no matter what. And then, like even in difficult specialties, like our doctor programming, like we were mentioning earlier, it's like, this is the way it is and it cannot be any other way. And what an amazing way, right? Like you said, like prepping for the day, like we do for anything else, and reframing as needed, then sharing it with your staff. And like you said, it's contagious. The negative stuff is contagious without us knowing. So we have to put in the intention to spill out all the positivity, and then the celebrating all the little things. I love that. You reminded me, or like the last thing you said, smile. Like I walked down the hallway to my staff. They didn't always like it, but they got used to me saying it. I would say like, smile. Your brain doesn't know the difference. And I'll be like getting like super annoying to them, and until they smile, I'm like, okay, good. Job well done. And right, like it spills, right? And like you said, we're not going to minimize the difficulties and the things that we're dealing with. And yet we can make it, even if it's a little bit brighter, we are winning. And again, like Erin said, I can only imagine with some of the things that you have to deal with on a regular basis with your patients, that it could be emotionally, mentally charging regularly. So it becomes even more important for you to be recharging your energy for yourself. And again, like you said, improved presence. So thank you for that. And I wanted to ask you, and you gave us some of the information, and we're talking a lot about kind of ourselves and kind of as physicians and how it affects our patients and our practice. What have you seen, and what would be some of your recommendations, and how this also helps us in our interpersonal relationships, right? In those kind of connections with our families as well.
Yeah, I think everything we do, we have to be mindful, really know what we're thinking. Sometimes like we have different thoughts coming up, and we don't even realize that's what we're thinking, and that how it affects how we feel. So I think that, say if you want to really have a meaningful relationship with the patient or with your family, is that, you get to decide that, okay, this is what I want. And then the next step would be like asking, how do I do that? How do I make that possible? And then I think the next step is really, be present and just be in the moment. I think that with the world these days, everyone is rushing, and then you look back, it's like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? So I think that being present and really be firm, or understand, be clear on why you're doing what you're doing. I think that's a very important thing. It's like, why do you want to connect with your family, for example? Or for me is, why do I want to spend more time with my kids? So for me, it's, I want that meaningful connection, because, it's like to show my love, my care, and to teach them whatever I know to teach them before they fly off, for me to be empty nester. Right. So it's kind of like, I think, to uphold your value, to be present, and to be intentional about doing everything that we do. I think those are really important things.
And for our listener who might be incredibly busy, incredibly overwhelmed, and maybe even burnt out, and as you shared in your own story, looking to maybe change their job, quit their job, walk away because it seems like too much, where's a great place for them to just start to think about change?
I think change, sometimes it is easy to think that, this job, or I'm feeling very frustrated, burned out, overwhelmed, all these things. A lot of times the reflex would be like, it is the job. Let me change my job, cut down the hours, or even just completely quit. I would invite the audience to think before you think about that. I mean, you may eventually still do that, but before you do that, just kind of do some self, reflection, and see, hey, is there something that I can do myself before, thinking about changing the job. So, like for me is I wanted to change, like say, oh, can I be more efficient? So I look into ways to be more efficient. I couldn't do it myself, so I asked for help. So I think, the other thing is really, if you're stuck, talk to someone about it. Or maybe a colleague, who have gone through something similar, or a mentor or a coach or therapist, someone to share. Because sometimes it's like when you ask a question, it may be pretty easy for someone else to point it out to you that you have never looked into. It's like, oh, someone to really point you the right direction. And I think that because sometimes, and then you can also identify what is the biggest problem, or what is the biggest obstacle for you, enjoy the job that you're doing, or what is the biggest problem in a certain situation. So, for example, for me, it was really, I was just spending way too much time that I did not sign up for, at doing my job, and like all the hours at nights, the weekends. It's like, how do I make it different? I couldn't do it, so I asked my coach, and then it turned out that actually step by step, it's possible to leave work. I mean, these days I leave work before 5:00. I'm still seeing the 20-some patients, and what's the difference is, I kind of learned the skills. I kind of developed it a little bit on my own at the same time. It's like the more you learn, the more you grow, and then you develop more based on that. And so I think that, now I'm not thinking about changing my job. I mean, I may still change down the line, but not at this moment. I enjoy, the time that I have, that I get to help the patients, and it's good financial compensation, and it's a pretty steady thing. And I get the time to help other physicians. So I think that to just start with that, for the audience, is really to look into, and also even just talk to, say, if you're an employed position, to see if you can change something within the work by talking to your supervisor or the administration. Sometimes it's like, you may feel embarrassed to ask, or, and maybe I shouldn't ask this, but what is there to lose? The worst thing is they may say no, but if you don't ask, you never know, they may say yes. So I think I learned that too. It's like, it may not be comfortable, but sometimes you may get a pleasant surprise.
And I just want to reiterate that about it may be uncomfortable. And yet we know from research about financial reimbursement for women physicians being less than that for men. If we don't ask and the men do, there can be huge changes, huge differences in income just because one person asked and one person didn't. And when women can learn from the men and say, I ask and they might say no, but they might say yes. And then you win. You get something that might keep you there longer. And, whether that's asking for the vacation time you need, taking those days off, asking for better compensation. And so I love that reminder to the women and the individuals listening that it's okay to ask for what you want and what you need. And it may be that everyone wins, including your employer and your colleagues, your patients, and your family. Love that perspective.
Yes, we need to advocate more for ourselves, and like we were talking recently, that we are role models. So it's who is watching us, right? Like when we think of who have been our role models and the things that we struggle with and how we need to be the change that we want to see. So I think about it that way too. And you've given us so many frameworks here of how to be more joyful, more gratitude, sense of fulfillment, even in a busy schedule, right? Like you said, it's not about what's going on externally. Again, we don't minimize it, but we can still stand in our own responsibility of how can I show up better for myself and for those around us, and do all the work. And we ask our guests, because of course our podcast is named Create Meaning Medicine. How have you created more meaning in medicine?
Yeah, I think it's kind of in two different ways, in the sense that, with my patients, that it's really creating the better experience with the doctor-patient relationship, the connection, that, being present with them, and that, medicine, it's more than just about, the addressing the diagnosis. It's about, being human. And we're not machines, and we have emotions, and just to connect with those emotions. And I think that's a very important thing for patients, because they're already going through hard times, and if we can give them that spark of hope, that that really relationship that can lift them up, however way that we can. I think that's a very meaningful thing, and to me, that's practicing medicine. The other thing is also for my fellow physicians. When I'm coaching, is that I think when I coach is always besides going into how to be more efficient, and of course, within that is that. Certain things like, in medicine, we're kind of like unspoken and spoken that we're supposed to be perfect, but we don't have to be perfect. It's like writing notes. You don't have to write the perfect essay form notes, you just need to get the point across. So imperfect is okay. It's just we're human. And the second thing is that, in medicine, it's important to set the boundaries, it's when you don't set it, people don't know when they're stepping over. And like, for example, you can mark yourself busy on the instant messaging at work. So, so then, when people message you, you don't have to reply back right away, or interrupt yourself in the middle of doing something. So I think those are very important things. And lastly is that, the meaning of medicine is really for physicians to work in alignment with our values. Why did you go into medicine in the first place? Like, why did I go into medicine? Is because, yes, I want to help people. Of course, a lot of different jobs or different careers, you can help people. I want to help people. The way that I want is to connect with them, to help them with their diseases, and to get them through the hard times, and to have that longitudinal, meaningful relationship. And that's what I want. And I think that helping physicians getting out of that survival mode of just, barely getting by is for them to be able to really look at the big picture and say, all right, this is why I'm doing medicine.
I love all of the messages you've been sharing. For our listener, we have been speaking with Dr. Mary Leung. She is a hematologist, oncologist, and certified life coach. And if they would like to look you up, find you, follow you, Dr. Mary, where can our listener search for you?
Yes, so I have a website, and my company's name is Shining with Gratitude MD, and that's why I talk about gratitude all the time. The website is shiningwithgratitudemd.com, and an audience can also reach me at my email, shiningwithgratitudemd@gmail.com, and I'm on Facebook, Mary Leung, and on LinkedIn, Mary Leung MD.
Excellent. I'll be sure to have all of those links in the show notes.
Yes. Oh my God. This podcast felt almost like a workshop. Like there were so many nuggets of information, so many good frameworks and formulas that we love in this podcast. So this is definitely one to listen to again, and with a pen and paper, and take notes and your 1, 2, 3s and your actions to right. Like I always say, like if there's one thing that you can take from this podcast and start applying, your life will definitely start to feel better. And we talked about how to recognize burnout, that it's so difficult for some of us, or like when we're struggling, that doctor programming, the gift of joy and gratitude, and so many ways to get there, the power of coaching, right? Like amazing formula of how to show up better and spill all the love and greatness with the staff, and how to be more efficient and more present. And I could keep on going on and on. And so grateful. Thank you, Dr. Mary, for being here with us today. And with that, thank you all, and stay tuned because the next episode is coming right up.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.